Hello, my name is.
All on your screen is Europa-9. Yes, Europa-9, the new upgrade into the Europa program. And there you go. Just now, we are
Stage
under
1
40
RP
minutes.
locks.
There you go. There's stage 1 RP1 and locks load. I am your commentator for the day, Brandon.
Stage 1 RP1 and locks load has started.
I am the COO and lead Europa operator here at Jovian Space Systems, and in just under 39 minutes, or just over, 39 minutes, Europa-9 will hopefully conduct a static fire, a flight readiness firing, to verify all systems will be ready for flight. There you can see on your screen some venting there as we begin our propellant loading today. Now, I want to talk about some of the upgrades that are on Europa-9. Europa-9, obviously, has now 9 engines, which will improve the payload capacity to orbit by about tenfold. As you know, Europa-5 will be phased out, with one final flight coming up soon. So, just so soon here, we should get that Stage 2
RP1 and locks load has started.
And there you go. Stage 2 RP1 and locks load has started. Now both stages on Europa-9, and for that matter, all stages on Europa, use a fuel called Rocket Propellant 1, or kerosene, and liquid oxygen. You know, these are very commonly used in the space industry, and they're very efficient. Anyway, back to what I was saying earlier. Europa-9 has 9 engines. It can bring a lot more payload to orbit. And there's a lot of these smaller details that I will not get into, but that have really made the vehicle its own better of itself. I mean, I remember just around a month ago at this point, I think it was, Europa-1 was still a thing. And just a month later, we're getting ready to introduce the Europa-9 rocket, which will, I'm going to reiterate this, almost historic for this company. This rocket will be able to propulsively land on either a drone ship or landing zones back here at Mahia. Now, obviously, the location has not changed. Mahia, we launch out of Mahia Peninsula, but the pad has. As you know, pad has changed now, so it's actually a lot better. Yeah, so this is the new pad, Pad 3. Now, Pad 3, as you can tell, has lightning rods. These lightning rods help, deflect lightning in case if it's needed. Which, you don't want a rocket being hit by lightning. If a rocket's hit by lightning, it's bad. Really bad. Currently all the nets But going back to the current launch at hand, or test for that matter, the nets remain very quiet, which for Jovian, for right now, is usual. We are trying to make that not as much quiet, but still having it be relatively quiet. As you know, yeah, so it's good for the nets to be quiet. That means no issues. So if it's not out of the norm, but if you hear the nets just become overly chatty, it could be wrong. Because this vehicle is so new, we are still in the testing phase, obviously. With that, we just heard over some nets here that you guys cannot hear, that there could be a planned hold sometime during the count. Here in the commentary box, we have absolutely no clue when those will be. I mean, it's really, so far, it's been a beautiful day here in Mahia, with a lot of testing going on around here, a lot of the launch site expansions, so this spaceport will only get busier as time goes on. So, some other things to go over. With Europa-9, it will be able to carry a larger amount of payload and a bigger amount of variety. I mean, with Europa-1 and Europa-5, it was really not a lot of variety. It was really only like a lot of stuff for Earth observation, space telescopes, and telescopes, really. Hopefully, with Europa-9, that will change, as we want everyone's payload to get their option, to get their chance to fly to space. It's a shame with all these good payloads that can't go to space because, maybe they just don't have the right amount of funds or what have you. We want that to end. With that being said, Jovian Space Systems is happy to announce, with the Europa-9 becoming operational very shortly, payload applications will open. We've all been waiting for it. We just haven't been ready for it until now. With the ability to fly a lot more often, we can now double the amount of launches we could do. So we hope that your payload could be the next mission on our vehicle. And going over to another thing that you could also apply for is the team. Right now, we're a pretty small team. We're looking for that new generation for the team to join. As you know, we kind of need it. Having a small team will only work for a short amount of time, but once you start getting into bigger and bigger missions, it's not the best.
Weather balloon has launched. Weather is green at this time.
There you go, weather balloon. So, weather balloon, we release roughly about 3 of them during the count to get accurate measures on all the weather. Because if there's bad weather, you don't want to be flying. Like a lot of people say, you want to be scrubbed. You would rather be scrubbed than scrub but not RUD. RUD stands for Rapid Unscheduled Disassembly, which is basically, in simpler terms, explosions, which aren't good. And surprisingly, weather can have a big effect on this. If something was to happen to the vehicle in flight, like, let's say, 100-mile-an-hour winds, it would not be a good day. It just would not be a good day. Or a tornado in the atmosphere. Now, obviously, a lot of this will not happen. And frankly, if it does, I think we should all go into nuclear bomb shelters, because it wouldn't be normal. But thankfully, it doesn't happen in Mahia. Can't say about some other places, Texas, Florida. So yeah, you want good weather readings so you can know when to fly and when not to fly. So coming up shortly here, we should have the initial systems on the Strongback disconnecting. These systems are go to a lot of the systems that aren't quite necessary. If you would give me 1 second here. Okay, so I'm back. A lot of these systems that will be disconnected here aren't necessarily needed right for the next part of the
Initial systems disconnect.
Yeah. So there's that call out. These systems are located on the Strongback. These go to a lot of some sensors, some payload stuff, and a lot of the vehicle stuff. With that call out, though, I believe the nets should be getting a little more talkative as we get into the business end of the countdown. As I stated earlier, we are attempting a flight readiness firing for the upcoming launch of Europa-9 in, well, about a week or two. I don't know off the top of my head. But with that earlier, we also announced the payload. As you know, internet. We all have it. If you're watching this, you have internet, and it's probably running right now. With that being said, internet can kind of be a little bad at times. Trust me, I know from experience. So with our internet service, Galileo, it will give you cost-effective and some of the best internet service for a lot more reliable. With the test satellite for this program being launched on the first flight of Europa-9, the mission will be nicknamed Galileo's Dream. If you don't know who Galileo was, Galileo Galilei was the inventor of the telescope. If you've ever looked up to the sky, or even to the moon, and Mars eventually, and beyond with something called a telescope. You were using something that was modernized from Galileo Galilei, one of the best inventors in history, in my opinion. Now we are just under 25 minutes. Nerves are definitely starting to build up here.
Nine Europa sea level and Europa vac final engine chill has started. Engine bay purging.
And there you go. There's that final engine chill. Earlier in the count, we had that initial engine chill, which I guess the mission controller had some communications issues, so it wasn't heard. But in order to ignite the engines without having a RUD, you have to cool them down in order to prevent shock. Thermal shock happens when basically something super hot comes out of something super cold. And the list of bad things that could happen from that is about endless. So, in order to limit that, you chill down the engines. The engine bay purging is, just to purge out the lines in the engines and to have all the systems chilly, we'll say. Now, you might have noticed it wasn't Aurora. So you may be asking to yourselves, what happened to the Aurora? It's the same engine, just a different name. Europa. It's a different engine. It's honestly just a lot of the systems are different. And it's more streamlined than a lot of the earlier Auroras. Also, the name Europa just kind of fits better. We are using the Europa MK3 or Mach 3. The third iteration. This is the third iteration of these engines, each better than the last. Europa just fits better for Europa. Europa. Sounds better, too. Nonetheless, I don't know what I'm saying anymore, so I'm going to get off this tangent. Just around T-minus 21 minutes. With the new variant of Europe, with the new iteration of Europa into the ever-going Europa-1 to Europa-5. Europa-9 will be able to propulsively land. Like I said earlier, either on a drone ship or a landing zone. In order to do what we want to do, this is vital you need to be able to reuse things. I've heard this analogy used before, so why not? I'll say it. Whenever you fly in an airplane, what do they do after you use it? Or after it flies? They don't just throw it away. They use it
T
again.
minus 20 minutes. Initial go no go poll for launch. Range. Range is go. Propellant. Propellant is go. Propulsion. Propulsion is go. LD is go for test.
And there you go. The initial go no go poll verified that all systems were go. Now, obviously, this was not the final go no go poll, because if it was, issues could arise in between the 19 minutes. Which 19 minutes is actually a pretty long time. It's almost 1,200 seconds. I think. I'm not sure though. Don't quote me on that one. Just under around 1840. We are not in the year 1840. Because, we'd be really ahead of our time if we were. I mean, it would be amazing. We could have been on Mars by now. Probably into everywhere in the universe by now. It would have been pretty cool. But, that's not how time worked. So, cool, I guess. Going back to the analogy I was using earlier, whenever you fly on a plane, once you get off of it, what happens to it? They don't throw it away. They use it again. And for far too long, rockets have been the opposite. After one flight, they are thrown away. That needs to change. That change will start now. With the first
Tanks
flight
are
of Europa-9,
full. Fuel temperatures and pressures are good at this time.
good call out there. It's in order we want to change that. To just throw away a rocket after every time you launch it. Rockets are expensive. They really are. Some rockets and how they cost aren't usually in your bills for the month. But for space companies, it is. But being able to reuse rockets will be able to decrease the cost to go to space. It'll also be able to increase the time before each launch. As you know, currently we're sitting at around 1.5 to 2 weeks in between every launch. We're trying to get that to around a week for now, but eventually we would like that to be, maybe every day eventually. That would be amazing. Well, that might happen. That might not happen for a while. Eventually, it could happen one day. And we hope you're around for it. So stick around. just around T-minus 15 minutes. It's been quite a while. You know, we've yet to have a stream that's gone over an hour. We've come close, actually. I mean, the last one reached 55 minutes. It's a lot. The HTTRRS launch reached 59:55, and I was wrong, actually. Europa-9 OFT1, the first flight of Europa, the Europa program, was an hour and 1 minute. So, you know, sometimes people are wrong, and I was wrong there. But, you know, we haven't had one over an hour since then. So, you know, being able to now go farther into the universe with this and into our solar system, we could have streams over an hour, maybe an hour 20, hour 30, hour 40. I know it sounds ridiculous for people to be streaming for an hour and 40 minutes of their day. There's only 24 hours in a day, you might be thinking. Why use them with this? It's a passion. A passion. People who dedicate a lot of their time for this. And this honestly is amazing. What we've been able to do, everything that we will be able to do in the future. It's around T-minus 13 minutes. So I'm going to go over the planned reuse before maybe the nets go haywire. Not sure. With Europa-9 on its second flight, we'll get Griffins. Those hexagonal waffles, what I like to call them, that help steer the vehicle within the immense atmospheric stress on the vehicle. And eventually we will add landing lights and then land. So that's the current reuse.
Engines are primed.
For Europa.
Europa engines are primed.
There you go. Europa engines are now primed. These are done by spinning some things inside the engine, which I believe is what happens.
Fuel rate is nominal.
What did I say earlier? I think I might be psychic. With
initial FTS checkouts.
Apparently I was right. All of this sounds pretty good though, which, I mean, it's all you want, really. It's a different story when the nets are haywire, but for good. You know, if you're going haywire, but it's all good, go right ahead, it's fine. But if it's for bad, not so great. Not so great.
Mahia tracking station has a two-way link.
So the Mahia tracking station is now is a new part of our launch site with a new production site that was built very recently. Pad 3 was also built very recently. A lot of the spaceport has been basically rebuilt, or what I like to call brought alive. As
ADA's initial alignment has started.
There's the ADRS initial alignment. ADRS. Don't really know much about that. That's more of an aviation thing, but it's actually kind of useful for rockets, for gyroscopes and making sure things don't spin. I don't want things to spin. Spinning is kind of bad. When things spin, it most likely means that there's been a failure. And when there's a failure, something went wrong. You don't want something to go wrong. You want the mission to be a success. I just want to reiterate something. We are not launching today. We are not launching. Today is a wet dress rehearsal, which is basically doing everything but launching. So this is this is as close as you will get to a launch, but not actually a launch. And a static fire is just when you ignite the engines, but not at full thrust. You don't want to ignite it at full thrust, because, it would lift off.
Europa sea level and Europa vac pogo bleed procedure.
There's that pogo bleed.
Power is at a nominal consumption rate.
Nominal power consumption rate. Here in Mahia, we like to keep some of the electric low. Really no need to keep it that high. So we limit it. Power consumption rate nominal, which is a great call out. If anyone has any questions, put them in chat. We will be happy to answer them. It's been a little quiet.
Shake out the switch to internal power.
Internal power, that is a big one. Internal power is when you disconnect all of the power systems on the vehicle and payload and let the vehicle power itself. This would be a great milestone to hit today. To see if the vehicle could power itself.
Weather is go at this time.
Great news there. That means there's no weather violations, which really don't affect us much today, but still good to have it green. If any of you have any questions in chat, put them in. We'd be happy to answer them. It's been a little quiet today. I mean,
Europa's engines are at flight temperatures, ready for ignition.
For me, it's only 19 minutes past the new day, so it's pretty cool. A lot of stuff has happened in the past couple minutes. To get that
systems are switching over to internal power.
There you go. There's that internal power switch over.
Hold
now. Oh, we've had a hold. Just 10
all stations,
seconds
this is
after.
LD. We're holding due to internal power fault.
That's not great news.
Estimated time to resolution 1 minute.
1 minute though, so not that bad. these things are expected as you go through the teething process with a new vehicle. It's not that big of a deal. Though it did seem like the vehicle did hold its own on its own power for about 10 seconds, give or take. I'm gonna go quiet for a couple as
This
we'll
is
listen to
LD.
the net here.
We have resolved the issue. The issue was a power trip when it switched to internal power. Resuming count on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark.
So there you go.
Count has
There's
resumed
that
on
issue.
countdown
A faulty, just a power trip in the internal power switch lines, though it does seem like that was resolved and the vehicle is now on internal power, holding its own. Powering itself for the first time
We are on
ever.
internal power consumption rate within expected ranges.
There you go. There's that verifyment. So the flight computers have been were powered on about 5 hours ago.
ADOS is now aligned.
There you go. The gyroscopes have aligned, making sure that hopefully, well, it won't take off today, hopefully, but hopefully, when needed, the vehicle won't spin.
Ground gas closeouts have started.
There you go. Ground gas closeouts have started now, purging those lines and cleaning out those lines in case of anything bad in them.
ADOS is showing data within expected ranges.
Good news there. So getting that final fuel top off here soon. Now, after around like
Final fuel top off.
There you go. After around 36 minutes and 34 minutes respectively for both stages, it's about time they're done filling. The vehicle now alive with all tanks about full. T-minus 3 minutes
FTS
45
has been
seconds. Flight termination system has been armed. That will blow up the vehicle in case if anything goes wrong. Hopefully nothing happens like that today.
Fuel lines have closed out. Top off valve is closed. Vehicle is now full.
There you go. There's that official call out. Vehicle's now fully loaded with propellant. The vehicle's now alive. Fully loaded vehicle on the pad for the first time. Congratulations to the whole Europa-9 team. You've earned this. A lot of the key objectives have been hit, but now it's time to complete the main one.
Flight computers are agreeing with the ground computers.
Great news there. It's time to fire up those engines. Those engines want to breathe fire, and I can't blame them.
Strongback is retracting. Clamps have disengaged from the vehicle. Strongback has retracted to 87.5 degrees, and all systems have disconnected.
There you go. There's that good call out there.
Final go no go poll for test. Range.
Here we go.
Range is go. Propellant. Propellant is go. Propulsion. Propulsion is go. LD is go for test.
There you go. Go for test. I'm going to hand it over for the mission control for the final count. Go Europa-9. Breathe fire.
Engine sensors reading green. Go for ignition.
We'll see you after the test. Go for ignition.
Final range check is go. 2-tab canisters are ready to ignite. Propellants at flight temperatures and pressures. Europa-9 is in startup and is in terminal count. Flight computers have taken over.
Minus 1 minute.
Flight computers are go for launch for test. Test data now logging.
Telemetry
Ground gas
switched
closeouts
over.
have complete. Europa engines configured for test.
Here we go.
Minus 10, 9, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition.
You've had ignition.
Ignition of Europa-9. Cut off. Nominal static fire.
And there you go. The flight readiness firing has been completed. What a day. Congratulations to all the teams. You earned this. Europa-9 has static fired all 9 engines from the sound turret.
All 9 engines have confirmed to static fire.
And great news there. All 9 engines confirmed to have static fired at nominally. Amazing. Next would be the rollback, payload meeting, and then the final rollout for launch coming up soon. D-Tank should be beginning soon, barring any other tests teams might want to do.
D-Tank procedure
here.
has started.
And there you go. The D-Tank procedure has started unloading all the fuel. What's cool about Europa is
reconnecting.
None of the fuel will actually drain until the strongback has connected. The fuel will actually just drain into the strongback pipes and back into their tanks. This will limit the amount of boil off to about 0.5%, which is incredible. And a beautiful sunset behind Europa-9 after a successful static fire here on LC3 in the Mahia Peninsula. That may about do it for today. Nothing really else to talk about as a successful static fire once again of the Europa-9 here today. Europa-9, the brand new variant of the Europa program. That's about it. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. See you later.